Hello darling, Christopher here, aka Plant Queen, and I am the plant parent to over 200 green girls in my little Brooklyn, New York apartment. One of the ways that I enjoy filling my space with green girls is not just from buying plants, but actually propagation. So darling, we're gonna get into a little activity. And so basically propagation is when you take a mother plant, take a cutting or a snipping and create a whole new other plant. And so today on the little botanical stage, we have Miss Snake Plant. The first thing that you want to make sure that you do is some research on how to propagate that plant, right? And the reason is because different plants require different strategies and techniques in terms of propagation, right? Because of the anatomy of the plant. And so the snake plant is all leaves, all right? And all you need. Handy dandy shears, all right? And what you would basically do is just take a snipping of a particular leaf. So I would never cut right at the top. I would do somewhere mid-level of the plant so that you're giving that leaf enough body mass in order to continue to suck up that delicious, nutritious sunshine. And you would let that calcify for a day or two before you place that leaf in water. And so I've had this snake plant leaf sitting in water for about a month now. And you know, one of the beautiful things about snake plants is that they are slow growers. When you are propagating a plant leaf or a plant vine, you want to make sure that the water stays fresh. And so I typically try to change the water every 2 weeks. And you want to make sure that the water is not ice cold or really hot. You want tepid, room temperature water. As you can see, there's a little bit of algae buildup at the bottom. If I was not putting this queen in some soil, I would definitely be changing the water. A question that I often get is, how do you know when the plant leaf or the plant vine, whatever you're propagating, is ready for soil? What I encourage folks to do, be patient and let those roots mature. And so these roots are about 2.5 inches long, which is a good time for these roots to touch that soil. I'll see you soon, honey.
In this kitchen, we use a lot of vegetables. I grow a lot of vegetables in my garden, and so we're bringing them in here all the time. A lot of you are thinking about growing vegetables too, but maybe you don't know where to start, or maybe you have limited space. So today we're going to talk about regrowing vegetables from scraps. I've got a bunch here. I've got lettuce, celery, cabbage, onions, potatoes, sweet potatoes, garlic, and even beets. This is going to be really fun. It's like 7th grade biology class, so let's get started. So we're going to start with celery, which I have done before and it really did work. So what you want to do is, after you cut off the tops of the celery, you save that base. And you put the base in a shallow bowl of water, and you put that bowl of water on a sunny windowsill. You're going to want to change out the water every few days. But after a while, after a week or so, you'll start to see the plant regrowing from the center, and then you'll also start seeing roots from the bottom. So just like celery, you can regrow from the base from both cabbage plants and head lettuces like iceberg and romaine. So here I have some bok choy and then about 1/4 of a head of iceberg that has seen better days. So I'll use the tops and then I'll save the bases and regrow them in the water. To regrow green onions, you just save that root in. You'll use the tops and then save the bottom. And then you just place that in water. You want the cut end above the line of the water so it can grow from there. And it'll actually regrow from the center, and you can just cut off of that. You'll keep it in your kitchen rather than planting it outside. And I have read that fennel works the same way, so I'm gonna try that. So I think with this, I'm just gonna cut the base off. And then my guess is that it's going to regrow from these areas. So I'm just going to place it in the water and we'll see what happens. So now we're gonna try to regrow potatoes and sweet potatoes from scraps. And potatoes and sweet potatoes are not the same plant family, but they will regrow pretty similarly. So when you're making mashed potatoes, you wanna save a piece of the potato that has an eye or the little sprout end from the sweet potato. So this one has a really good one, so I think I'll try that and cut that end off. And then it needs to be placed where the cut end is in the water, but the top is above the water. So that's where these toothpicks should come in handy. And it works perfect. Looks like an alien. So then I'm gonna try this too with the sweet potato. So it's harder to find these little ends on the sweet potato, but you can see, I can see a few here. So I'm gonna do the same. You can also try to regrow beets from scraps, but you're not actually growing the beet root over again. You're growing the greens. And the greens are basically the same thing as Swiss chard, so it's definitely something you should try doing. So after you have cut off the root end, you save the top, this area a little bit, and you'll place that cut side in the water. You might need to use some toothpicks to hold it in place. Now it's your turn to try regrowing vegetable scraps at home.
I am Maria Antoinette, and today I am going to be sharing with you how to create an aromatic tabletop garden. Here are a few things that you're going to need. You're going to need your ceramic container. You're going to want to have some herbs. We have basil and sage. You're going to want to have an aromatic plant, and then you're going to want to have your accent florals. And don't forget dirt. What is a garden without dirt, right? So my first step is going to be putting my dirt into my container. You want to leave about 2 inches to 1 inch from the top of the container. That way there's space for your plants to grow up and out. All right, I have my gloves on. My first piece that I want to put in will be this amazing red rubbin basil, you guys. I really wish YouTube had a smell cam because it just smells amazing. We're gonna squish it a little bit in the container and we're gonna pull that out. You wanna make sure that you squeeze those roots so that when you put them into the new soil, they'll be able to breathe and open and acclimate. So we're gonna put that in. We're gonna go over to the next basil. This is just your basic basil that you see on your pizza, everything like that. Smells amazing as well. We're gonna squeeze those roots, wake them up. You see them falling? That's what you want. And then you wanna make a hole for it and drop her down in there. Beautiful. Okay, right now these look short, but basil grows tall. That's why I have it in the center. I'm now gonna take my sweet Annie. Now this is not an edible herb, but the aroma from it, I think there should be like a perfume made from this. It smells amazing. Same concept, guys. You're gonna squeeze it out of the container. You guys see all that rooting? We're gonna just squeeze it, knock some of that dirt off. Be gentle with her. Plants have feelings too. All right, we're gonna put a hole in, and you always wanna space things out so that the roots have space to grow outwards. So we have our aroma in the middle and our herbs around it. Now I'm gonna add in the last herb, and this is sage. Sage is a beast, you guys. It will take over this whole thing, so I know eventually I will have to pull this out of this container and probably put it into its own container. But for now, since it's a baby sage, it's gonna be absolutely gorgeous. I really love using this variation of sage. This is tricolor sage because of the contrast in the greens, and I just think it'll be another great pop of color inside of the arrangement. We don't need all of this, so you can break it off and let some of that fall. Because this is gonna need a little bit more space, I'm gonna take it more to the edge of the arrangement. Beautiful. So these are my Easter bonnet whites. These are a great flower to do on the outer perimeter of my arrangement. The reason why I went with these is because they stay small. Now, when you go to your nursery, I'm sure they'll be able to help you find the right flowers for your arrangement. The really cool thing about using these florals, especially from a nursery, is they come in packs of multiples. This one comes in a pack of 6. It's really nice to have them, so that way you can space them out and you don't have to break them apart on your own. There's nothing scientific about this. You give them a hole and a space and you plop them in there. I seriously wish you guys can smell this. This arrangement smells like magic. We're gonna use about 2 more. So that's it, guys. We just made the most amazing smelling aromatic tabletop garden, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Hey guys, I'm Kelly with Handmade, and I'm also the author of this here book, Vegetable Gardening Wisdom. In addition to vegetable gardening tips, we have some herb gardening tips in here too. So today I'm going to talk about my favorite herb, which is rosemary. I'm going to give you a few fun facts and growing tips about rosemary, and then I'm going to show you a few of my favorite ways to use it in the kitchen. So, fun fact about rosemary, which I included in my book, is that it is part of the mint family, and so are many culinary herbs that you use all the time. So like thyme, oregano, lavender, basil, rosemary are all part of the mint family. And one cool thing about the mint family is that they all have square stems. By the way, I want to give a shout out to the illustrator for this book, Harriet Popham. She is awesome. Check out that rosemary. So if you want to grow rosemary, it's really pretty easy. It's a perennial in most climates. So that means that it will grow through the winter and it'll grow onto the next year. If you live in a really cold climate where you get a lot of snow, it might die, but you can grow it in a pot and bring it inside for the winter if that is your situation. If you want to grow rosemary in a container, I recommend just a regular clay pot, not a glazed one, because that will hold in moisture. And the reason that you want a clay pot is because it does dry out quickly, and rosemary likes to have its soil a little bit dry. You don't want rosemary sitting in wet soil because the roots will rot and it won't grow right. So when you're ready to harvest your rosemary, it's really easy to pick it. Use some pruners, I recommend. This is a fresh, new, young rosemary plant, so it's really supple. This came from an older rosemary plant and it's a little bit dry and the stems are really woody, which is what you want from an older plant. I'm just gonna cut into this younger plant here. I cut low on the plant so that you can kind of keep the shape of the plant uniform. So we have our rosemary cuttings and I'm ready to strip the stems. So usually you just want to use the needles in, which are, kind of like the leaves. You want to use those in your cooking. I'm going to show you first how to take the needles off of the stems. So if you look at the stem, you can see how the needles are growing up that way, so that's their natural direction. So the way you want to strip the stem is to take a hold of the stem and pull this way. And it's actually a lot easier to take the needles off of an older stem because it's a little bit drier. So we'll just pull that direction and there we have our rosemary needles. So I know I said that you usually use the needles of the rosemary, but sometimes it's fun to use the stems too. And one of my favorite ways is to use them as a skewer. So today we're going to talk about taking our caprese salad up a notch by putting it on a rosemary skewer. And if you don't know what caprese salad is, it is tomato, mozzarella, and basil. And yes, I know that this is Thai basil, not Genovese basil, but it's what we have today, so we're changing things up. So I'm just gonna alternate cherry tomatoes, mozzarella, and a basil leaf. So there's one down, super easy. So we're gonna make some herb butter. And first we're gonna start by chopping up our rosemary. You can make this herb butter with any other herbs. So once you get it chopped up, you want to take about a stick of butter. This has been melted a little bit in the microwave. You want it to where it's pliable, but not, totally melted. And you're just gonna add your herbs. The amount really kind of just depends on how much you like the herb. I love rosemary, so this is probably 4 tablespoons or so. And this is actually one of the super simple recipes that I included in my book. So I'm just gonna transfer this to a prettier bowl for serving. I really want to use my fingers right now, but I won't. I've really had fun talking to you about rosemary today. It's my favorite herb and I love using it in all kinds of ways and growing it in my garden.